on to Buckingham Palace. Alfie Boe talks me through his singing career. We review new television drama, The Bletchley Circle, about the post-war lives of code-breaking women. We hear the latest from the Venice Film Festival, and maverick organist Cameron Carpenter prepares for the proms.
The constant manipulation and evolution of sound for me is one of the fascinating reasons to play the organ, and one of the reasons I'm willing to put up with the suffering of it, because certainly I do not have a love relationship with this instrument.
The sound of organist Cameron Carpenter as he rehearsed for this weekend's proms performances. But we start with another classical star with an uneasy relationship with the musical powers that be. The story of how Alfie Boe got his big break as a tenor is well known. Working as a car mechanic in Lancashire, his singing on the job was heard by a customer who recommended he join the D'Oyly Carte Opera, which he did. His singing career has taken him from opera stages around the world and more recently to theatres and arenas as a solo star. With a repertoire that mixes opera, classical, pop and show tunes, his broad appeal led him to a booking at the Queen's Diamond Jubilee gig at Buckingham Palace. Now, Alfie Boe has told his story in an autobiography which reveals the antipathy he feels towards many within the opera establishment. But when he came to Front Row earlier, we started with his earliest memories of singing.
No, I mean, when you're growing up in Lancashire, you get told a lot to find a trade, get something that you can excel in, and then go off and pursue your dreams because you'll always have something to fall back on. So when I was at school, the options really were very limited. You know, it was a case of we'd get visited by the fishing board into School for Careers Day, or the Army and the Navy had come in and try and recruit you, and the parish priests were always there trying to get more, you know, so it was either go and be a fisherman, go and fight in the battles, or become a priest, which was very odd. And so...
But you ended up in a car plant?
I went into local industry, yeah.
Because it's the TVR, it's the British Sports Car, TVR have their factory there.
Yeah, in Blackpool, yeah, that's right. So basically what I did was just walk around my local town and local area and knocked on industries' doors and asked for jobs and asked for work, and eventually came across TVR who were looking for an apprentice body mechanic, and I got the job.
It doesn't sound like it's particularly stimulating work, but you passed the time by... Yeah. I mean, it's a well-known story now, isn't it? You were singing on the job whilst you were patching up a car and a customer heard you singing.
That's why I wrote the book, so I don't have to tell the story anymore. You know,
but you still don't name him. You still haven't found out who this guy was.
No, I know. A lot of people have put requests out there and put like notices, get in touch, you know, come and say hi. But I mean, I hate to be morbid about it, but this guy might not be around anymore. You never know. It was a long time ago.
But you knew you had the ability from a young age. I mean, describe singing The Pirates of Penzance at 14.
Yeah.
And you say it just, you opened up your voice and you hit a high C and it came naturally.
Yeah.
So you knew that's what you should have been doing, even when you were
I knew I could
working
make
on the cars.
I knew I could make a sound. I didn't know if it was a good one. You know, and I didn't know how I was doing it. I just was doing it naturally, like you say. I didn't know how I was producing that sound, which sometimes was exciting and it was thrilling, but a little scary, because I didn't know whether I could do it all the time and carry on doing it, especially when people put the pressure on for me to sing this song that had a big high note in it. I didn't know whether I'd be able to do it. So it wasn't really until I left the D'Oyly Carte that I went to music college to really get the formal training and make sure that the technique I was getting and the strength and the stamina that I was building was going to last me a lifetime.
And in terms of professional support, you give credit and thanks where it's due, but it's a book which doesn't pull its punches. No. You're not particularly diplomatic in some quarters. And I mean, you name and shame those that you think have hindered your career. And there's an episode when you're at the Royal Opera House on the Villa Young Artist Scheme.
Yeah. And
you say it was regimented and it was hindering your talent. I mean, you're quite frank about what you thought about the people running that.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm not averse to speaking my mind, and looking at it then, I could see what they were doing to stop my career. Yeah, I could see what they were trying to do to. In their minds, they felt that they were doing what was right for me by breaking down everything that I'd developed over the last 3 years and 4 years at music college, at the Royal College of Music and the National Opera Studio, breaking all that away and starting from scratch and building me up into the ideal image of what an opera singer should be like, even down to what I should wear. And I wasn't up for that. I'm not trying to be a rebel, I just want to be myself. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do and how to develop as an artist.
But
I take on board the advice as far as the technique and how to train my craft, but don't take away my personality, and that was in a way what they were trying to do.
You don't worry that you burnt your bridges with the Royal Opera House and with the English National Opera, because you're very frank again about the treatment that you had when you were working there at the Colosseum, and particularly with the Opera House. There's a quote from the book when you say, "Covent Garden, such hallowed ground, it's a bloody wooden platform, no better than the Marine Hall in Fleetwood," one of the first places where you played as a kid. Is that being deliberately provocative just to set yourself apart from the opera establishment, or I mean, do you actually feel that genuine antipathy towards...
I believe it. I respect the Opera House and I respect the Marine Hall stage because they've had just as good artists on there as they have in the Covent Garden. And all we are as singers, as storytellers, we're just telling a story, no matter what genre of music you're from. And I have respect for them, but I don't want to go into a building and feel like I'm walking into somewhere I have to crawl around on my knees and, you know, just be humble in front of the biggest conductors and kiss the floor of the stage, because it's just a platform to produce music, to produce damn good music for an audience.
So you don't think you've burnt your bridges with the Opera House? I mean, you will go back and sing there again if you were asked, or do you think that relationship is now...
I would definitely go back, yeah. If they asked me, I would love to go back. I'm sure there's people there that wouldn't want to see my face ever again, but I'm not bothered about that.
Well, you caused a bit of a storm last year, didn't you, when you were on Desert Island Discs on this network, and you said that you find the whole idea, the idea of going to the opera and watching opera boring.
Yeah. And a lot of people said, do I regret that? And I don't regret that because, again, I'm being honest. As I am in the book, I'm as honest as I possibly can. If I'm going to write a book, I'm not going to just make it all flowery. I want to be honest with every story that I can. And I think I spoke and said what a lot of people were thinking, because the amount of people that have said to me, I find it boring too. I never had the nerve to say, including other singers, including directors.
Is it just because it is too stuffy? It's for people, or there's a perception that it's not for ordinary people, that it's still too...
I have to say, I think there's certain areas within classical music and within the opera establishment that are too protective over the music. And I also think that they're so protective that they hold it in their pockets like a spoilt kid in the playground with a packet of sweets that he doesn't want to share. Music is music. You know, classical music stands side by side with rock and punk and jazz and blues and folk and Motown and soul. It's just one big world. I don't see any difference. You know, it's Eric Morecambe saying I'm playing all the right notes but not necessarily in the right order. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's music. It inspires people. It gives people hope. It gives people energy. It stimulates the emotions.
There's a hilarious story about gate crashing, the final night gala of the Royal Opera House before it shut. And you'd been in the piazza and had been doing a live video relay, and you literally walk in, found yourself on stage as Placido Domingo and the rest of the stars are taking a bow. Then you met John Major, and by your own admission, drink had been taken.
Oh my goodness, a lot of drink had been taken. We were sat in the piazza all afternoon knocking back this red wine, man. It was brilliant.
So that was your first appearance on the Royal Opera House stage?
That was my first appearance on the stage, taking a bow. Performance I'd not even been in.
You're not making this relationship with the Royal Opera House any easier.
No.
I was talking to Alfie Boe, whose memoir, Alfie, My Story, is out now in hardback. Now, during the